hard drive contained both data and the soul of this freighter. Disconnecting it has destroyed the soul. But the data can be analyzed in the MAM, so everything's okay. Is that some kind of a machine thing? Like, there was an AI for the freighter, but now it's... Shh, I can hear something. But what? Maybe a power slug? Maybe it is a power slug. Maybe it's just the background music. As long as I can get at this present, I'll take it. Alright, now let me just drive by and see what this thing is. Okay, it's... Wow, it's pure bauxite. Actually, I shouldn't wow that because my aluminum factory already uses pure bauxite. And look at where I am now. Forest. Get clear of those things. I don't want to go through gas masks that too quickly, so I'll swap this out. Let's see what's under those rocks. Judging by the sound it's making, it's probably a power slug. But what kind of power slug? Ah, yellow. Might as well take it. I mean, I've got a veritable embarrassment of riches, but... Maybe I'll just keep the power slug and not process it. So, yeah, half of me wants to keep going because I'm right by a big area where a big unknown area, and the other half wants to go back and check how, ooh, hello, decision already made. It's unless that is the freighter wreck that I was just at, but I don't think it is. Nope, it couldn't be. There weren't this many hatchers around. And there's still loot. Well, spares me having to flip a coin. Let's get after all this here, starting with... Get far enough away from... Bush League spitter, so we're reflexes seem to save my bacon on that one. I'll pick up some of these iron plates. This is low-key stuff, but I suppose the principle of it being loot. I'm not just gonna leave it there. Ooh, and this needs biofuel. That's weird. Wasn't expecting that before, but there we go. And there's a blue power slug over there, but I don't know. I don't feel like going after it right now. Instead, I'm gonna go down to here. Because this is part of a big unknown area. Way up in the northwest. Oh, you know what? I thought there was an actual bad guy for a second, but no, it's just one of those lizard thingies. Well, since I'm in a relatively safe zone, I'm going to drop this stuff off. Like that. Make some more space. And now let's see what we can see around here. An eye on the map. I want to, because one thing I want to do is fill in the gaps in it. But these freighter wrecks are a bit of a bonus as I go on. Okay, so there's regular hogs, but there's there's 3 of them. How many of them are coming my way at once? You know, this prompts a rather fascinating philosophical discussion. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I mean, it's an action movie, but it takes place on Christmas. But does Christmas have anything at all to do with Die Hard? I mean, it's about a guy who takes a building full of people hostage or something like that. And another guy who theoretically could meet on the street anywhere, going in to save the day with the assistance of, well, of the authorities, local or otherwise. So what does any of that have to do with Christmas? To be honest, I can't think of a thing. However, there is a logical reason for Die Hard to be considered a Christmas movie. As a sort of counterpoint to your standard issue Christmas movies, which are, well, they're known for being sappy, I suppose. Or it's a popular conception. I don't know whether it's a misconception or not. I mean, I'm thinking of other Christmas movies, like Miracle on 34th Street, or that other one with Jimmy Stewart in it. I forget what it's called. The main character's name is George Bailey, and I can't believe I'm blanking on the name. It's sort of like a Christmas-themed episode of The Twilight Zone. What if this ordinary guy didn't exist? we'd be much worse off without him. Except that, well, to be honest, he wasn't all that ordinary, was he? He just thinks he doesn't matter at the start of the movie, or at least at the narrative start of the movie. I'm gonna think about this. I'm gonna remember the name at like 3 in the morning, unless somebody out there in internet land posted it in the comments, which people have done. Load these past few episodes, and well, throughout this entire run, really, and for that I thank them. And then there are other, but there is a surfeit of other Christmas movies, which are made by, which are, I think, aired on the Hallmark Channel. And because it's maybe it's because it's a channel that's named after or financed by a greeting card company, but they're all just so, well, at the risk of putting on a hot take, sappy. They're like episodes of Full House, or worse yet, Fuller House. Come to think of it, maybe one of them was a recycled script from an episode of Full or Fuller House. Both of which stank, thank you. And gee, did the phrase narrative conflict ever come up in the writer's room? Okay, I'm gonna climb this thing for the sake of climbing it. There is, however, one Christmas movie I can think of, which, well, it's not an action film like Die Hard, that's for sure, but it does have enough, well, let's just say enough guy stuff in it to make it, well, not one of those schmaltz-infused Christmas movies. I refer, of course, to A Christmas Story, which was written by the leader of the Night People himself, Gene Shepard, who is sort of like, he was sort of like Norman Rockwell in some regards, but there was a bit of a wink and a nudge about it, as though he knew the real score. You know what I mean? Like, he understood how things really operated, and sometimes it could be as cynical as all get outs. Yeah, so that's what's up here. A Christmas Story was written by him, and there's all these stuff. It tells you all this stuff about Christmas, or at least post-Depression era Christmas, which we all know is going on. For example, that mall Santa. I mean, I don't know whether there was any such thing as a mall in 1940, but so I guess this would be a department store Santa instead. And he is, well, sick of it. He's like, I'm getting out of here as soon as I can. I don't care. I'm sick of kids. I'm sick of being Santa Claus. I'm sick of going ho ho ho. In fact, I'm so sick of it that I'm not even gonna bother making my voice deep anymore. No, he doesn't go ho 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 like a regular Santa. He just blurts it out because, well, he's tired of it. And you can't exactly blame him, can you? Can you imagine being a department store Santa or a mall Santa, having to sit little kids on your laps saying, ho ho ho, what would you like for Christmas? And listening to a litany of all this stuff the kid wants. I want a PlayStation Portable and a, Okay, I can't think of anything. I've never sat on Santa's lap before, so I can't exactly go from memory here. And let's not forget, sometimes the stress of the department store, all these people there can make kids scared out of their wits, so they'll sit on Santa's lap and scream him in terror, which is what happens in the movie. But Gingerbread was like that. He'd hide stuff that was like blink and you miss it, like the one note of discord in a piece of music that's that makes the listener go, wait a second, did I really just hear that? In one story about penny candy, which includes a nice catalog of it, soup to nuts. I'll skip those. They're probably all just Rocky stuff anyway. Anyway, in one story which has to do with penny candy, it's distributed by this, well, the guy selling it also sells, well, I don't know if it's groceries, but you know, meat and all that. And you know how meat is priced, it's per pound. And you're supposed to just weigh this stuff on the scale and... Hello? Oh, brother. Okay, not in the mood. As I was saying, when you measure out meat to be sold, you weigh it, multiply the pounds by the price per pound, and charge that plus tax. But there's an old timey practice of putting your thumb of the seller putting their thumb on the scale to up the price of it. And of course it's not exactly, you know, legal. What is that sphere? What did I find all those stingers for? But anyway, there's a passage in there that's like, Mr. Pileski weighed his left thumb, the heaviest in northern, there it is, Indiana. It's almost as though, like, maybe the kids didn't know what was going on then, but looking back on it, they knew it now. And as if that wasn't enough winks and nudges, there's the one about the county fair. If I can find this power slug. Is it under my feet again? Okay, forget it, not in the mood. Anyway, there's this one about a county fair. And it mentions a couple of Midway games. I think that area is called the Midway. Well, it's the kind of games you find at any garden variety carnival. Going down. And one of them, for example, you've probably seen this in a cartoon, is this thing where the guy takes a sledgehammer and hits a, oh, I'm not exactly sure what it's called. And he hits a thing and it causes this bead or something to go up, and if you're strong enough, you ring a bell and you win a prize. And in the story, main character's dad is he actually manages to hit the bell, but there's this other much beefier guy, and he, well, naturally delivers a stronger blow, but he can only reach like halfway up if he's lucky. And Ralph Parker the kid can't quite pick up what's going on because, you know, he's a kid. He's just like, yay, Dad won. But he's like, looking back on it now, I remember this article in Popular Mechanics where the Barker actually controlled the resistance of the machine, like with a foot pedal, and what he was really doing was milking the beefy guy for all he was worth, and Ralph's dad was just an unwitting part of that. There's another one too, about you know, that thing where you hit. I'm not going up there. Where you pitch a baseball and you try and knock over these like cans or something, and it's one of those ones where it's like ridiculously hard. Like it, I mean, theoretically, one good grief. Here we go again. Anyway, one good pitch to the base of the tower. It's usually like 3 or 6 of them stacked in a sort of a triangular, in a sort of a triangle, going up. But theoretically, one good pitch to the base of the thing should knock all 6 of them over, and you win when you knock all 6 of them over. And sure, a big strong guy could probably pull it off, but sometimes there's like a trick to it, like a hidden trick. Like, I don't know, maybe you have to pitch the ball just right. Okay, I'm going into this meat grinder. There we go. Fine. Anyway, you have to pitch the ball in just the right way. And so, in the story you see this, like, 11-year-old girl do it. She like, knocks over all, maybe it's 6 bottles, and people who are, like, spectating want to win the prize to knock over all 6. Figure, you know, if this little girl can do it, then there's no reason why I can't. And it turns out, Ralph sees him later, that, like, the Barker and this little girl, it turns out they're father and daughter. So yeah, she'd be in on it. Of course, given the time of in history this was, it was a, let's just say, a bit of cynical pragmatism. I'm gonna reach my hand here and hope it doesn't get stuck. Okay, fine. I'm guessing you have to blow this thing up. I'm at this point in the game where I'm thinking, gee, is another blue power slug worth it? But anyway, that's Gene Shepard. He's like, yeah, I know what the real score is, and I'm gutsy enough to admit it too, whilst also keeping the veneer of a good old-fashioned family story. But I suppose it's the difference between what are these spiders trying to guard that I can't see a thing for them to be guarding, so there's no reason for me to go after them. I'm not going to kill them all and then find out there wasn't anything there. Anyway, it's got the veneer of a good old-fashioned family story with the with the added subtext that comes with, shall we say, bitter experience. Come to think of it, Gene Shepard was a radio personality too. I'm not talking like a DJ. He was more like he had a show, and he was more of a raconteur, which is a fancy French word that means storyteller. So if anybody here is in high school and looking to score a few extra bonus points from teacher for their next essay, remember this word, raconteur. I forget how to spell it. But if you speak it out and learn how it's pronounced, you're bound to impress your teacher. Or that girl you've been trying to date who likes her men smart. I wonder if there's anybody actually like that. But anyway, yeah, Gene Shepard was a storyteller on the radio. Relatively old-time radio, WOR in the what was that? Anyway, WOR in the 1960s. And you can hear him talking a Christmas story because he narrates as part of the movie. And he has, well, it's not just the accent. It's the emotion. Sometimes he sounds like a really excited, like a kid at, well, Christmas. You know what I mean? It's a very distinctive manner of speaking. You wouldn't expect it of a guy who looks like Rasputin, like a cross between Rasputin and the Wolfman, which, by the way, he describes himself as in another lesser-known story that aired on PBS called, forget. Oh, Ollie Hop Noodle's Haven of Bliss. Now that was one of a series of Gene Shepard stories that aired on PBS in the 70s and the 80s. And it was about a vacation. Even though it was a PBS story, it had a PBS budget. So it didn't get everything about 1940, whenever this was, entirely correct. If you look really closely, you can see a few historical inaccuracies, but you have to really be looking for them to spot them. But it's about, well, a vacation, a family vacation to this place called Ollie Hop Noodle's Haven of Bliss. And half of it's the trip, the other half of it is the time leading up to it, where Ralph, who is of age to work, which is like, I think, early teens, he gets a job and he's like, well, I guess I'm gonna, and he wants to go on the trip, but he's gonna be working then. I mean, of course he gets there, but I'm not gonna spoil how. Or how he glosses over it. But one of the roles is his boss, who is played by Gene Shepard, and he's this, well, not intimidating looking guy, but he doesn't look scary, but in the wrong lighting and under the wrong in the wrong mood and under the wrong circumstances, he looked downright terrifying. And that's how Gene Shepard describes the character that he's playing in that story. He looked like a cross between Rasputin and the Wolfman. Okay, I've finished filling this in, so I'm going to head home. Lord help me, I've gone native. I'm referring to the space as home. But real home would be wherever I parachuted it in here. Oh, wait a second, no. I didn't parachute in, did I? The parachutes both malfunctioned, and we had to use emergency jets or something to slow me down. Otherwise, I'd have wound up a puddle of nondescript... I'd have wound up another freighter wreck, wouldn't I have? Fix-It's really gotta fix it, don't they? But anyway, all you have to do is...